Hi, I'm Nick. The story will be told from the words of a man who was cheated on systematically by his wife while he was on business trips. Good day, dear reader. I want to tell my sad story. 4 years ago, I dated a girl about a year and a half. It was love at first sight. Everything was good with us. I was still a student. I was 24, she was 20, a student. It was my first real love, yeah, at that age. I was crazy about her, and she was the first one to tell me she loved me. My job requires me to be away from home for long periods of time. 4-6 months. I went on a trip, everything was great, we talked all the time. I waited for him, he came back from the voyage, we met his parents. In our eyes burned fire, passion. Plans for the future big, as befits in such situations. Even chose rings already, although he has not yet proposed. We were at work visiting her parents, visited them. And then the moment. There was a guy next to them also worked, a loader. He always fled after her, she always blew him off. Well, unattractive looking, much younger, shorter, in short, I did not consider him a competitor at all. He winked at her, I laughed at that. Everything's fine. He goes on a trip. A couple months again. Everything's great. And then 3 months later, she just flips out. I don't recognize her. You can really feel it when you're in love. Every little thing. She became busy, studying, not enough time. She's messing with my head that everything is fine. We started to communicate less often. I write to her, call her. She answers me once in a while. It hurts me. I asked her what's wrong. She says, "Everything's fine." I started to think she was depressed. She had 2 months left on her contract. 3 weeks before I arrive, she admits that she's cold to me. I'm like an axe to the head. What? How? Why? How come? I mean, everything was fine. I'm just shocked. I started to calm her down. I said, "You're delirious. You're depressed." And I was a fool to believe it. I believed I'd come home and everything would change. I come home. She promised to meet me at the airport before I left for my flight. So I reminded her. It was freezing, I had an exam. I said, "You promised." She said yes right away. The meeting was a bit dry. She arrived, met me, waited outside. I gave her a big hug and kissed her. Everything was good, but not that. Something told me that it was all insincere on her part. She offered to go home. I agreed to stay until the next day. Sex, all that. It was kinda nice. The next day in the evening, she says to me, "You need only one, the same. You did not even ask how I am, what's in my soul." Well, it just didn't come to that. Same thing again, same words, same fight. After sex, by the way, I freaked out and immediately left. I realized that the case is ruined. She has someone. She ran after me, liked to see me off. I said, "Don't." But she ran anyway. I'm waiting for a cab. We're waiting. We're not talking. I'm chickening out. The call came from Sasha, the loader. I was so shocked, I noticed who was calling. She moved a couple of meters away and was flirting with him, laughing, and I wanted to cry. I drove away. She wanted to give me one last hug, but I pushed her away. Bitch, in front of me. Not ashamed to talk like that. I suffered for a long time. It was really hard. Depressed, just crazy. I love her, though I hate her. Sports saved, running, went to a sanatorium with a friend to unwind, to forget her wanted to, with others Shirimuri Twiritil. He tried to come back, apologized, thought it was my fault. Please come back. At least answer a message, like you. At least a couple of words, at least answer the call, let me hear you. Nothing helped. My pride kicked in, and I stupidly cut off all communication. I love myself for this trait. I know how to put a stop to it. Went on a voyage. No relationship I no longer wanted. Decided to focus on career. So I did. Bought myself a nice apartment, etc. Another shock from her. I find out then that 2 months later, as I slept at her house, she gets pregnant from the same loader. Apparently they got married, had a baby. Another blow to me. I haven't forgotten her, I still love her. Stupid. Then I find out that, right after the birth of the child broke up, she lives alone with her parents, raising a child. It's been 4 years. We also do not communicate. Then and I hear all the time from everyone that she is very sorry that she left me and would like to return. I do not know what to do. I live now not alone, with a girl, very good, beautiful, faithful, perfect in general. But I don't know why I still can't forget her. I still remember her phone number even though I immediately deleted everything, all the photos, numbers, everything, just to forget her. Dilemma: to marry and live happily with my girl, not knowing what would be waiting for me there. And so beckons the unknown. I wonder how she is, how she feels about me. And I would like to ask a couple of questions, even if she loved me at all. Or to get in touch with her, and it is unclear what will happen next. I'm afraid to ruin everything and stay at a broken trough. To this hero, I would suggest to live his life and not to make the same mistakes that have already been made when they wiped their feet on him. The next story is about how a girl used a guy for a long time and then left him for another man. The guy took the breakup and betrayal very hard. I met a girl, I was attracted to her right away. The girl was not easy. She is a diabetic with serious complications, severe cataracts in both eyes, a problem with blood vessels in the legs, and, in addition, low immunity. We bonded very quickly, and I just melted into her. I've never had anything like this before. Always together, always there for each other. I carried her in my arms. We lived each other literally. I fell in love like a boy. I've never loved anyone like that. She moved in with me and we started living as husband and wife practically. I learned almost everything about her past, she told me. She was married, but the marriage was difficult. Her husband married her, as she found out later, out of pity and by agreement of her parents. In general, he took her as his wife and got all the conditions. Her parents were not rich, but they had some connections. He was handsome and good-looking, and also with a character. She was only 19, and she fell in love up to her ears. She tried her best to earn his love and be with him, but he played her, and, as it turned out, cheated on her. She even forgave him cheating and beatings. He started to raise his hand on her. But it was no use. He left her. She was left alone, broken in mind and body. I wanted to give her the life she wanted. I did everything to make her as happy in this relationship as she was not in that one. For the sake of our relationship, I lived my life to the max. I worked 2 jobs and went into debt to pay for her treatment. She had eye surgery, she had surgery on her legs. I beat out a place for her in a regional endocrinology hospital and bought the most expensive medications. After she came home, it was like a honeymoon. We talked about children, about family, about the future. We talked about getting married. Then it was her mom's anniversary. She went with her sister. Her sister came to pick her up. I couldn't go. I had both jobs. Plus, I was almost out with the flu. I was on autopilot. She called 24 hours later in the evening. She took a long time to explain and apologize. She went back to her ex-husband. I just can't explain what happened to me at that moment. I was at work, and I just had a stroke of shock. The ground went out from under my feet, everything around me slowly went in different directions, and I lost my footing. I don't remember how I got home or how I survived that night at all. I woke up the next day at lunchtime. It was hell, fear, shock, pain, doom, panic. My head hurt like it had been hit with a sledgehammer. I couldn't eat or drink anything. I tried to call her, but she wouldn't pick up. I texted, asking her not to break things off like this, asking her to think about it and give us a chance. But it was like it was going nowhere. I got depressed. I just went to work to forget myself. I smoked cigarettes, like Rastaman's joints. I hardly ate. I hardly slept. I didn't live. A month passed in this state, and then another blow. Her mom came. She brought me the money for the treatment. She apologized and asked me to understand and let her daughter go and not hold a grudge. They have a wedding coming up. She's marrying him. I must have looked like shit. Her mom put a kettle on the stove and sat next to me. She started to console me. She said that I would still find my love, that I would still live, that I would have everything, a family, a house, children, and a woman I loved. She said that it was just not time yet. I sat there and could not even speak. I was broken, crushed, and I had no strength for anything. Her mother's last words to me, she said, "You're a very good, kind, and bright person. You're just unlucky." I lost consciousness. I woke up in the hospital, nervous breakdown, physical and nervous exhaustion. When I passed out there in my kitchen with her mom, I had a fountain of blood from my nose, and then the blood vessels in my eyes burst. The whites of my eyes were red like some monster. Naturally, my girlfriend's mom called an ambulance and I was taken away. I have to give credit that the whole time I didn't come to my senses. Her mom was there for me and for a while after. She went home a few days later. I got out of the hospital. I was fired from one job for not going out and the other one didn't, and they even gave me sick leave. I'm back to my old life, except I don't want a relationship anymore. I don't believe in them anymore. I work hard, I work out, I exercise, and I load myself up as much as possible. Depression is gone, pain is gone too, but in their place came the emptiness. And what to do with it, I do not know. And is it necessary to do something about it? That's how I live. I manage to survive everything, but I can't live any further. I just go with the flow, let everything be as it will be. About a military man who was cheated on by his wife with his grandfather, an important man. But after that, there was an interesting situation, which now you will learn. It all started when I was still a cadet. We met at a classmate's birthday party. She was studying with his girlfriend. It was like an electric shock. I'd never seen such beauty before or since. We dated for almost 2 years, made plans for life. Then the distribution and the offer to go to the so-called hotspot for 6 months. After that, an extraordinary rank and a place of service of our choice. She discouraged me as much as she could, but I thought about the future. I didn't want to drag her to the godforsaken step. Anyway, I agreed and went. At first, everything seemed to be fine. We wrote letters and called each other at the first opportunity. And then on the next call, she said to me, "Don't call me anymore, forget me, and forgive me." I really fucked up, almost blew the roof off. If not for the guys kept, I could have done something stupid. Let's pry from mutual friends. What happened? I found out only that she took a leave of absence from the institute and went to Moscow. And what she does there, no one knows. I called her mother, who answered me. Forget it, her daughter got married, don't look for her, don't spoil her and her life. I stayed on a business trip for another 4 months, trying to forget her, but it was a shitty job. Anyway, I left for a unit in the Moscow region. And 8 months later, I was called to the checkpoint, and some girl met me. She says, "Do you remember that one? Do you want to talk to her?" Well, I immediately told her where she should go for a long time. She said, "Here's her phone number. If you change your mind before tonight, call me." Anyway, I couldn't resist. I called. I wanted to find out everything. We met her at a cafe. That's where I found out. She was sent from the institute, it turns out, to Moscow for a seminar of some kind. And this seminar was held by a big, really big man. And this big man had his eye on her, so much so that a year later he divorced her and married her. Well, what? She is already 21, he is only 52. Plus, status and material wealth inexhaustible. Here and fell for my beloved, say, love. Of course, there is no, but you to the general when you still serve as a general, and he can give me everything at once. In short, tears, snot, but we ended the night in bed with her in the hotel. That's how life went on. As soon as she had an opportunity, I would leave the service and go to Moscow. What it cost her, only James Bond can understand. Sturlitz and his conspiracy wasn't even close. There were such multi-purpose combinations. And then we didn't see each other for almost a year. She called several times saying she couldn't meet me. Turns out she'd given birth to a son in the meantime. When I found out, at first I thought it was mine, but then I calculated our dates and meetings. No way she gave birth to her husband's son. I got pissed off. I told her to fuck off. I tried to meet others, but after her they all seem so bland. I mean, you know, you'll be attracted to someone, but after a week, you don't even want to see them. Anyway, when the Second Chechen War started, I wrote a report and went to the Caucasus. We got into trouble once. I really thought it was the end of the line. And most importantly, all my thoughts were only about her. Not about my friends, not about my parents, but only about her. When God pulled me out, I couldn't stand it and called her. And it all started again, basically the same scenario. Meetings once every 2 months, relationship troubles, melodrama in general. When we'd known each other for 19 years, her husband died. I thought we'd be together now. But no way. I cannot. My son will not understand, and different obligations, the fund, status. Let's leave everything as it was before. I freaked out again. Then it was time to quit my job, and I went to my parents' place to live. My parents, while I was setting things up, starting a business, I almost never thought about her in the busyness of it all. With women, though, it didn't work out so well. You get acquainted, socialize, everything is normal, but as soon as you sleep together, it becomes disgusting. The wives of my friends forbade me to get acquainted with anyone. Like, again, use and abandon. 6 months later, my father died, rest in peace. And she came to his funeral. When I saw her, it was like a knife again. It all started again. It was easier to see each other. I'd go to Moscow, she'd come to see me. She helped me with my business, though. She strained her connections, and they gave me such land that only an idiot would not raise money on it. That's how it continues until now. We meet a couple of times a month, sometimes vacation together, go away. In principle, I do not regret, whether I got used to it or reconciled. The only thing is that when you see friends' children growing up and grandchildren appear, it starts to hurt. Thank you for watching it to the end. It really means a lot to me. Please write in the comments your opinion about these 3 stories. Which one did you like the most? Good luck and bye.